You are bigots. And by the way, if you vote with them,
you're a liar.
Bigots.
You're a liar.
Okay, no, you're a bigot.
You're a liar.
After being active in politics for over a decade, Cenk Uygur finally became a candidate himself for California's 25th Congressional District in November 2019, following the resign of Congresswoman Katie Hill. But despite Cenk's media clout, he lost the election by quite a bit. So why did this happen? And what does it reveal about his theory of politics and the broader political landscape? Let's break it down together. According to Cenk, he was running to advocate for progressive policies such as Medicare for All, the Green New Deal, and removing money from politics. But policy aside, despite the success of the Justice Democrats in 2018, Cenk has failed to prove his theory of politics correct, that progressives are the most electable. In fact, even in 2018, most, if not all, of the squad members were from deep blue districts. Cenk clearly saw a great opportunity in CA25 to prove that progressives can also win in purple districts. CA25 is diverse, with a mix of suburban and rural communities, working class voters, and many moderate Democrats. While it leans Democratic, it is far from a progressive stronghold, making it a tough battleground for someone like Cenk. But if he was to pull it off, it would indeed have been a great deal.
On this election, it wasn't in districts like mine or Alexandria's. However, she's a wonderful member of Congress. I think all of our colleagues will attest. But those are districts that are solidly Democratic. This glass of water would win with a D next to its name in those districts.
Well, first of all, I'm going to prove that this mythology that progressives can't win in purple districts is totally wrong. We represent the voters way better.
Cenk's main opponents in the jungle primary were Christy Smith, a state assemblywoman representing the 38th district, who ran as a moderate Democrat, emphasizing education funding, healthcare access, and economic growth. She had the advantage of having a local background, endorsements from major Democratic figures, and support from party establishment. His other opponents include Steve Knight, a former Republican congressman trying to win back his seat, and Mike Garcia, a former US Navy fighter pilot and businessman also running on the Republican side. From the start, Cenk's campaign leaned heavily on his media presence. With millions of followers from the Young Turks, he hoped to mobilize a political movement online.
Outsiders are America. I remember when I came to this country at 8 years old, I didn't even know what an immigrant was. My father would tell me stories about his life, how he grew up as an olive and grape farmer in Turkey. He would pick olives and pull weeds out until his hands bled. Eventually, his hands calloused and he could work longer days. Soon, he decided to pave a new path in his life. After fighting for and winning a free education in Istanbul, he came to graduate school in America. If it wasn't for that opportunity that my dad received, I'd still be in that field. I learned the value of hard work while on construction sites with him. That belief in the American dream is what led me to starting an online media company out of my one-bedroom apartment. Doing that allowed for a national platform for the working class to be heard. Now it's time to get louder. The insiders in DC have money, but we've got people. I'm going to DC to shut down corruption in politics. That means being the strongest candidate running, fighting for Medicare for all, and a woman's right to choose what happens to her own body. It's also standing up to corporate donors, corrupt lobbyists, and anyone else who doesn't have the interests of the working class at heart and saying, not on our watch. Climate change is real. Our district is on fire. Oil and gas companies took home all the profits and left us with the costs. Our housing system is in crisis, and none of my opponents seem to care. How long are we going to walk by our homeless Americans, our veterans, our neighbors, and do nothing? It has to stop. I'm Cenk Uygur. I'm a father, a son, an immigrant, an outsider. All we ever wanted was a fair chance, and that's what you deserve, because outsiders are America.
On the campaign trail, Cenk was the exact same person that he was on TYT. Passionate or unhinged, depending on your preference. What ultimately put the nail in the coffin, though, was the resurfacing of old blog posts with misogynistic remarks, reigniting debates about his conservative past. Although Cenk apologized, the damage was done. Opponents used these controversies to paint him as unelectable. Even within the progressive movement, some questioned whether he was the right person to represent their ideals. More devastatingly, it also hurt Bernie Sanders' presidential race, as Bernie endorsed Cenk initially, but then was forced to retract the endorsement following this debacle. Cenk also famously went into a viral shouting match with an elderly Trump supporter in a campaign event.
Republican Party agrees with Donald Trump, and they almost always do 100% of politicians, then call them what they are. You are bigots. And by the way, if you vote with them, you're
a liar.
also bigots.
You're a liar.
Okay, no, you're a bigot.
You're a liar.
You're a bigot if
You're a liar.
You see this? You counter-strike.
You're a
you
liar.
do not tolerate bigotry in this country.
The results came in on Super Tuesday. Cenk got mobbed by Christy Smith and others, getting about 6% of the vote. He almost cried on live air.
So the preliminary results don't look good. I got it. We have votes still to count. Was it worth it?
So why did Cenk lose? Usually when a progressive loses, Cenk goes on to blame two things: money and the media. This time though, Cenk had a comparable amount of cash to both Christy Smith and Mike Garcia. He actually had triple the funding compared to Steve Knight, who got triple of Cenk's votes. So he can't blame money this time. What about the media? Well, since it is a congressional race in a presidential year, this election barely got any coverage on national TV. The real reason was that Cenk's entire theory of politics was founded upon false assumptions. First, Cenk's assumption of progressive policies being super popular is wrong. Single-payer healthcare may be quite popular until you tell them taxes have to be raised to fund it. You can extend the same logic to the Green New Deal, free college, $15 minimum wage, and etc. Also, Cenk's combative style of expression, or rather his obsession with the idea of fighting, it worked well as an internet news pundit, but it alienated voters looking for a unifying figure. His tendency to attack opponents relentlessly further isolated him. I mean, just compare Cenk's attack on Christy Smith and her refutation. It's clearly night and day.
Must use it. On the other hand, Christie, for example, voted to deny undocumented immigrants Medi-Cal. Why did you do that? My God, that feeds into a Republican stereotype, by the way. Undocumented immigrants put more money into the system through the payroll tax that they never get back. They don't get the money back from Social Security and Medicare that they pay into. Let us protect all of us.
Time's up. Thank you.
The most immediate and realistic way to get us to universal coverage, that is access to care for every American, involves a few simple things. First of all, defend and shore up the ACA. Secondarily, create a public option that can be purchased by individuals on the Obamacare exchange, along with a group plan option available to small businesses. To Courtney's point, there are lots of small businesses who would love to be able to provide health care for their employees but haven't been able to. To Mr. Lozano's point, we need to create consumer protections in the system. Healthcare market is the one industry where consumers have very little protection and very little opportunity to have clear pricing indicators within that market. And then additionally, we need a substantial waiver program for Medicaid dollars that come from the federal government and allow states to be innovative and subsidize. And we will subsidize for everyone who can't afford a plan on their own. But we have to act with immediacy. This crisis is urgent, and that means we have to take the best path to get us there quickly, and that's adding a public option to what currently exists.
Fundamentally, Cenk Uygur does not understand how Democratic voters think. There is a reason so many Democrats have quote unquote Trump derangement syndrome. Again, I use this term because it's fitting here, but not Romney or Bush derangement syndrome, despite how similar their policies were. If you want to know what Democratic voters want, just listen to a few minutes of speech of Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, the two most successful modern Democrats. They are both clean and collected, unlike Cenk. Cenk's failure to even make it past the first round devastated his credibility. He's always maintained the idea that he knows how to win elections. This election proved that he was quite an expert at losing elections. I mean, you raise $1 million and have 6% of the vote to show for it? Thanks, but no thanks. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I will see you next time.